My name is Scott Schleining, and I am Macall's dad. And this is the story about Macall and her accident.
I'm Macall Schleining, and I'm 21 years old, and I go to CSU in Fort Collins, Colorado. It was spring break of my 4th grade year, and we went on a skiing trip just for the weekend, for the last weekend of spring break. And it was a good day for skiing, like the sun was out and it was warm. So me and my dad got ready to go skiing. At the top of a certain run, the run split in half and there were trees in the middle, and I picked the right side, but I didn't know if my dad saw which side that I picked.
And I was trying to stay as close to her as I could, and I was staying behind her. And
I kept checking over my shoulder for my dad, and I couldn't see him because the slope was like in my line of sight and I couldn't see him.
I just remember her going over a ridge, and then I lost sight of her, and I skied over there as quickly as I could, and I couldn't find her. And then I saw that she had went into the trees, and that's when I knew that she had an accident.
I hit a tree and my helmet flew off, and I spun around and I hit another tree, and I was lying unconscious in the snow.
I got over to her as quickly as I could and was holding her head, and I didn't know what to do.
He was just holding me.
And it was kind of crazy, but
this man walked up and he put his hand on my dad's shoulder and said,
"Do you believe in God? Do you believe in Jesus? I'm going to pray for you." And he got down on his knees and prayed with me right there. And then he said, "I know she's going to be okay." And it was like an angel. Through the whole experience, that's kind of what I held on to give me hope and faith that she was going to be okay.
And then seconds later, the ski patrol pulled up on their snowmobiles, and they took me down to the medical hut on the mountain. And from there, they assessed me and decided that my injuries were too severe to be treated on the mountain. So they decided to airlift me to Denver, where they could treat me better.
And of course, from there I had to make the phone call to Vicki and let her know what had happened, and that was hard. We had to drive down, and I don't know, it seems like the roads just opened up, and we were able to get home really fast, or back to the hospital.
They decided to take me to Swedish, where my aunt was working. She was able to meet the helicopter and be part of the team that assessed me and decided that I had a traumatic brain injury. And from that diagnosis, they decided to put me into a medically induced coma.
Yeah, that first week at Swedish was really rough, because we didn't know if she was going to survive or how she was going to end up if she did survive.
When I was in the coma, there were 3 separate times that my body completely shut down, and the doctors
thought this was it. We're going to have to go in and say our goodbyes. But I headed to the hospital, and on the way, I was listening to Christian music, and there was a song playing. There's one part that says "Fly to Jesus, fly to Jesus," and that was, I don't know, that we thought we were going to lose her, and that song just said "Let her go," and we didn't have to. We were really lucky, or really blessed that we didn't have to. It was, every time I hear that song, I remember that, driving down the road and hearing that song, and just thinking that, I'm going to have to say goodbye to her. And that's just the way it was going to be, but it didn't. I didn't have to. So. And shortly after that, she started making miraculous, recoveries. The doctors didn't know how to explain it. And
I still get a little emotional thinking about what my family went through, and from like my parents' perspective, I get kind of sad thinking about it. I know that as a parent, it's really hard to see your kid even be sick. It was really scary and sad for them, and the entire time I was in the coma, the doctors were very unsure about whether or not I would come out of it.
But the doctors didn't really know that we had like prayer warriors we had people praying all over the world, and that was really neat. And I think that's one of the things that really kind of helped us get through it all. While she was recovering in Swedish,
my aunt was the nurse that would dress my splint and like clean it, and she put an apple pin under the bandage one day, and the next time she changed the bandage, she didn't find the apple pin, but she found a tiny angel pin. So my aunt had the angel pin in the hospital, and my grandma was taking care of my two little brothers at home, and she was doing laundry one day, and she took all the clothes out of the dryer, and then she reached in to look for anything else, and she found a little angel pin too.
And we don't really know where those angel pins came from, but they just appeared, and that was kind of, another one of those angel things that I don't know how, but it was just one of those things that kind of helped us get through the whole thing too.
All throughout my coma, my dad held on to my hand, and he knew that the man on the mountain told him that I was going to be okay, and he said he wasn't going to let me go. So everybody has a little angel to go along with their experience. The doctors were very surprised that after 3.5 weeks in a coma, I woke up and I was well enough to start rehabilitation therapy. So they took me to Children's Hospital, and I was in rehab for another 3 weeks, and they decided that I was progressing too quickly and that I could be in outpatient rehab. So I went home after the 3 weeks at Children's. I wasn't expected to go back to school, but after a week at home, I just had to go back. And I finished 4th grade with my class, and I caught up, and I finished outpatient therapy within a year, and I had no lasting effects of the injuries or the experience. A year after the accident, we went up and saw the ski patrol team that found me on the mountain, and we talked to them, and they said that they received a call that day about my accident, but it wasn't from a cell phone, and it wasn't from the call box on that slope, but they just told us that they couldn't trace it. And my dad knows that the man that came up to him called, and he knows that that man was an angel, and that hearing that story really solidified my faith.
That's the whole thing, I think, that helped me hold on to hope while she was in the hospital and everything. We are so lucky to have Macall with us today, and she has, through this whole thing, she has got a real fire in her heart to become an occupational therapist because of some of the experiences that she had when she was recovering in the hospital. That's just one of the positive things that came out of it.
God gave me another chance at living, and I need to honor that and give my life in full faith to Him.
And we're just so blessed that she's still with us, and I think the world is blessed too. She's gonna do great things. She really is.